Hey guys, David Clayton here with GuitarBreakdown.com, and today we're going to break down another Guthrie Govan lick. This comes from a video that was uploaded recently on YouTube, and I will put the link to that video in the description below, and I will also put a time code so you can jump right to the to hearing Guthrie play this. This is a jazz bebop kind of thing, and I'm not sure exactly why it is I'm so drawn to Guthrie playing jazz bebop kind of lines. I think part of it has to do with he's got a little bit of a twist on it that doesn't sound like a traditional jazz guy, and that probably comes from, not to categorize him because he's an amazing everything player, but I see him more as a rock fusion guy, and he convincingly pulls off country and jazz unlike any other rock fusion guy. He's just amazing. I mean, he's so skilled at everything, but with that, he doesn't sound exactly like most jazz guys. And some of that comes with, you know, the guitars he plays and all that kind of stuff, and the amps he's playing through. But it also comes with his feel and the type of player he is. So when you hear him play these jazz lines, I think part of it might also have to do with when he picks these things, dynamically he picks different than a jazz guy, and a lot of times he'll throw in his fingers. So he'll be using the pick and his fingers at the same time, or also mixing in some legato and stuff. Whereas a traditional jazz guy playing bebop lines tends to just use a pick and alternate picking and stuff. So we've transcribed a few and done a few lessons on like his Bad Asteroids jazzy section solo, and another jazz line that he played in some video on YouTube. And I'll put links to those below also, just in case you haven't seen those. They're pretty cool. A lot of people seem to like them. And if you like this, maybe you'll like those. So what we're going to do in this is we're just going to go right through, note for note, quickly through this. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit of theory and what's going on and how you can maybe use, you know, come up with your own ideas similar to this. Also, we have a few more Phil X videos that we're editing and trying to get approved by Phil, but we're having a hard time tracking him down because he's been crazy busy. I don't know if you've heard, but he's back on tour with Bon Jovi, which is amazing, and congratulations to him for that. And we also have done a bunch of videos with Alan Hines, which you guys are going to love. It was just the most amazing recording session. Alan's a great guy, a great player, and we're going to announce what actually we're doing with all this stuff, but it's going to be a package of stuff that you guys are really going to like. It's just amazing tips, licks, and stuff from Alan. And again, we'll talk about it more later, but I'm so excited about it, and I hope you guys stick around for that. Either way, let's get back to this, and we're going to break down note for note what's going on. So I'll be right back. All right, so real quick before we get into the note for note thing, I just want to tell you what gear I'm going through if you have any questions. A lot of people ask about this all the time. So I'm running my guitar through an Ernie Ball volume pedal, which is just something I always have in the chain. And it goes into a Wampler Euphoria pedal, which I'm going to do a review. I've said this several times, but I'm taking my time really getting to know this pedal because at first I only really liked one channel, or I liked it all, but I really only found for my style of playing one way of using this pedal. And as I've had more time with this, I like the whole pedal. Everything about it is amazing. It's just, it has to be adjusted certain ways, and I'm learning that it really needs to be used with the tone knobs on your guitar, and everything works amazingly together once you get really familiar with it. So anyway, I'm running through that, and the gain is all the way down. So I'm really using the pedal almost like a boost pedal, which I have other boost pedals, but there's something about this pedal. It compresses a certain way. It's just really cool, and I think it makes my clean sound a little punchy more than some of the other boost pedals right now. So I have the gain turned all the way down, the volume turned up about 3/4, the tone turned way down, maybe up 1/4, or as most people will call it, right below 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock or something. And I have the bass turned to 11 o'clock or so. And I'm using the smooth setting. And then I go into the Strymon Blue Sky and for my reverb, and then I have an analog delay. I have the Maxon AD999, and then I go into my Sir Badger head, 18-watt head, and that goes into a Bogner 112 cabinet with a Celestian in it. So that's the gear rundown. Now, as far as this lick goes, like I said, it's basically over an F major 7 chord, right? And he's basically using F major, but every once in a while he'll throw in this Lydian note. And that's the natural 4th or 11th. Right? So he starts out with these, it sounds like octaves, but it may just be single notes. And he's playing the B note, and then he's playing an E note. So I play it with the 7th fret on the E string and the 9th fret on the D string as octaves. And then I play the 7th and 9th fret on the A and G string. But he could be just playing the 9th and 9th fret on the D and G string. I think it sounds like he's playing octaves. Then he slides from that 10th fret on the B string to the 12th fret of the B string. Then he goes from the 10 to 12 on the E string. So that whole thing is. Then he goes to the 10th fret of the B string and he pre-bends that up a half step. Or he may bend it up a half step and bend it back down. So you have. Then he goes to the 8th fret and back to the 10th fret of the B string. So you have. Then he goes to the 9th fret of the G string, back up to the 10th, back to the 8th fret of the B string. So that whole thing slow is. Then he goes down an arpeggio from that. When he's on that 8th fret of the B string, he goes to the 9th fret and the 9th fret of the G and D string. Then he goes down to the 10th fret of the D string. So you have, I'm sorry, the 10th fret of the A string. So that whole thing is. Then he walks up a scale and he skips one note in the scale, which kind of makes it like an arpeggio, but he goes from the 8th fret, so all on the D string, 8, 10, 12. Then he goes to the 9, 10, 12 on the G string, to the 10, 11 on the B string, to the 10th and 13th on the E string. So that whole thing slow is. And when he walks up this, actually, he does it in a way where he does these 4 notes together. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then those 2 notes he does, then he puts a pause in there. So like an 8th note rest or 16th note. Then he does those 2 notes and then, so the whole thing is. But it's so fast that you barely hear it, but there are those rests in there. So that whole thing together is.